Do you know what to say when you meet someone for the first time? How do you start a conversation? What questions do you ask? Well, welcome to Explore English with Hannah. I'm Hannah, and today we're going to learn how to start a conversation with someone in English. To get started, let's look at a conversation between two people, Rob and Lily, who meet at a party and start a conversation together. Make sure to pay attention because we're going to come back to this dialogue throughout our video today. Hi, I'm Lily. Nice to meet you. Hey, I'm Rob. Nice to meet you too. How are you? I'm good. How about you? I'm good. How do you know Josh and Paula? Josh and I played soccer together in college. What about you? Paula and I grew up in the same town. What did you study in college? I studied biology. Now I'm a nurse at the hospital downtown. What about you? I recently got a job in interior design. Congratulations! The first step when you meet someone new is to exchange greetings and introductions. A greeting is just a word that we use to say hello or to meet someone in English. If you're in an informal situation like at a party or a social event, then you can say hey, hi, or good morning. If you're in a formal situation like at an event or at work, you might say hello, good afternoon, good evening. The next part of a greeting is to say nice to meet you when you meet someone for the first time. In response, the other person should say nice to meet you too. The final step in a greeting is to say your name. You should include this when you introduce yourself rather than waiting for the other person to ask you. Now let's go back to our example conversation to see how Rob and Lily greet each other. Hi, I'm Lily. Nice to meet you. Hey, I'm Rob. Nice to meet you too. Notice that when Rob and Lily meet each other, they exchange a greeting, like hey or hi, then they say nice to meet you, and they say their names. What's next? Well, one thing that you can say next is how are you? This is a polite way of showing interest in the other person. Usually when you ask how are you, the polite thing to do is to give a very short answer, like I'm good or I'm okay. Let's go back to our example. Hi, I'm Lily. Nice to meet you. Hey, I'm Rob. Nice to meet you too. How are you? I'm good. How about you? You'll notice that both Rob and Lily ask each other how they're doing. Lily starts and says, how are you? And then Rob continues by saying, good. How about you? One thing to pay attention to is that they both give very short answers, like good or I'm good. You can also say, I'm okay or I'm all right. The important thing is to give a short answer. The other person isn't asking you to tell them everything about you. So the right answer is to say, how are you? I'm good. How about you? Versus, how are you? I'm having a terrible day. My car broke down and the weather is miserable outside. It's better to give a quick answer and to make sure you ask the person, how about you? The next and most important step is to talk about something you have in common. Think about where you are, what you have in common, and how you might know this person. Here are a few questions that you might be able to ask. First, if you meet someone at work, you might say, what department are you in? Or where do you work? The person can then respond with their department. For example, hey, nice to meet you. What department are you from? Oh, I work in sales. What about you? I'm in HR. This lets you know a little bit more about how you are connected to this person. Another common question is, what do you do? This is asking, what's your job? And you can ask this anytime, even when you're not at work. So let's go back to Rob and Lily's example. How do you know Josh and Paula? Josh and I played soccer together in college. What about you? Paula and I grew up in the same town. What did you study in college? I studied biology. Now I'm a nurse at the hospital downtown. What about you? I recently got a job in interior design. Congratulations! You'll notice that it starts with Lily asking Rob what he studied. She asked this because she noticed that Rob went to college with Josh. Then he answers, and he includes not just what he studied, but where he works, as a nurse. He shares his position. When he returns the question to Lily, she says, I work in interior design. You can answer this question in one of two ways. First, you can answer with your position title, like I'm a nurse, or I'm a teacher. You can also answer with the field that you work in. For example, I work in sales, or I work in construction. Another common question is, how do you know this person? You ask this whenever you are at a party or at an event where you both know someone, and you can make that connection through them. Let's go back to our example. How do you know Josh and Paula? Josh and I played soccer together in college. What about you? Paula and I grew up in the same town. What did you study in college? You'll notice that Lily's first question to Rob was, how do you know Josh and Paula? She identified that they were both at the same event and that they both must know these people somehow. Here's another example. When you're at a wedding, you might ask, how do you know the bride and groom? This question is appropriate whenever you might know the same people. Another common question is, where are you from? Or where do you live? For example, if you meet someone in your neighborhood, you might ask them, where do you live? And they can answer by sharing the street that they live on or the house that they live in. When someone asks you, where are you from? You can answer in one of two ways. First, you can answer by saying the area that you grew up in or your hometown. For example, where are you from? I'm from Mexico. You can also answer with the place that you currently live in. So for example, where are you from? I'm from Atlanta. Another popular question is, do you come here often? This question is common whenever you meet someone at a place that you regularly visit, especially when maybe you don't recognize the person. So for example, at the gym or at church. Hi, do you come here often? No, this is my first time. I'm here for a yoga class. Finally, an easy question to ask in almost any situation is about what they like. So for example, at work, you might say, do you like your job? Yeah, I have some great coworkers. Or if you're both in a common place like a bookstore, you might ask, do you like this bookstore? Yeah, but sometimes they don't have the books I'm looking for. Any of these questions that we've just talked about are appropriate whenever you meet someone for the first time and want to start a conversation. Just think about which question is most appropriate for the person or place that you're in. Now that we have some tricks and tips to start a conversation, let's go over 5 key points that you can use when starting a conversation in English. First, make sure to exchange a greeting, say nice to meet you, and share your name with the person. Second, make sure to ask them how are you and provide a short answer in response. Third, ask them a question about something that you have in common. For example, what brings you here? Or where do you live? Fourth, make sure to return their questions. If they ask what brings you here, answer with, oh, I work here. What about you? Make sure to include that what about you. Finally, pay attention to what the other person is saying. That way you can listen to what they say and ask follow-up questions about what they've just said. Let's look again at our example conversation. Hi, I'm Lily. Nice to meet you. Hey, I'm Rob. Nice to meet you too. To get started, Rob and Lily both exchange greetings, they both say nice to meet you, and they both share their names. How are you? I'm good. How about you? Here, they both exchange how are you and give short answers in response. I'm good. How do you know Josh and Paula? Josh and I played soccer together in college. What about you? Paula and I grew up in the same town. So far, Rob and Lily have both asked each other questions about what they have in common. What did you study in college? I studied biology. Now I'm a nurse at the hospital downtown. What about you? I recently got a job in interior design. Congratulations! Notice that Lily paid attention to what Rob said, and she followed up with asking about what he studied since he went to school with Josh. Next, they share their jobs with each other. This conversation could continue if they exchange more questions and follow up on what the other person is saying. Great job! Now you know how to start a conversation in English with someone that you've just met. Before you go, I have a question for you. Where do you usually meet new people? For me, I normally meet new people at parties or social events with friends and family. Then I can talk to them about the people that we know in common. What about you? Leave your answer in the comments. If you want to read our sample conversation from today's video, or look at some example questions and phrases that you might use, download the PDF in the description below. I'm Hannah, and thanks for joining Explore English with Hannah. I hope to see you next time.